Relations and functions, we've got to find out the difference of them. So real quick, the definitions: relations are just sets of ordered pairs. They're x's and y's. They can be tables, they can be graphs, they can be ordered pairs. Um, Relations happen all the time. Now functions, they're special. I want you to think of that. Functions are special, and that's where each input only has one output. So to break it down for you, make it a little bit easier, we're going to do this matching game. Every input will be matched up to its output. And I've got this one example right here, and then we'll look at a few questions, okay? So functions, again, they have this, inputs have one output. So here are our three different inputs, and you can see that each of these inputs has one output. And we're going to be drawing this type of diagram here, and this arrow matching up to its output for each input, that helps us clearly see that each one has one output. And so we like this for functions. When we see something like this where an input suddenly has more than one arrow, that means it's not a function, it's just relation, because what it's trying to show us is that this one input right here, this 0, has two different outputs. And remember, a function is only allowed to have one output. So when you see more than one output, that makes it a relation, not a function. So let's take what we know and let's take a look at the problems. You're going to be given a table sometimes, and they're going to give you inputs and x outputs, but they won't label it. You'll just have to know that x's are inputs and y's are outputs. Now, remember the definitions. I'll put them up there, and let's take a look at the data. When you have the problem, I strongly encourage you to go ahead and diagram it off to the side on a piece of paper. So this 0 is an input, so I'll write it down, and it's matched up to an output of 5. The 1 input is matched up to an output of 6, and the 3 input is matched up to an output of 8. Now, remember, functions have that idea of every input has one output. And you can see from our diagram that each input has one output. So it's a function. Let's go to the second problem here. We start diagramming it. The 0 is matched up to the 5. This -3 input has one output of 6. And now the 0, it's popped up again. And if you notice, it's got a different output this time. It's got an output of 1. And so I'm just going to kind of snake that down from that first 0 right there to show that this 0 has two outputs. And we know, because it's got two different outputs, that it can't be a function. It's just a relation. Now over here, this causes some problems sometimes. They'll make it look really similar, but we focus on the inputs first. That is the only -9 that happens, and it's paired up to an 18. This is a +9, not a -9, so it's not the same number. So it's got its own little level, I guess, to the diagram. And then the 3 is happening as well, right? So we go ahead and diagram that, and you'll see that each one of these has one output. Okay, so it's a function. Even though the -9 and 9 look very similar, they're not. And then let's go through one more. What about this one right here? -9 gets us an output of 18. Hey, -9 happened again this time, and it's got a different output. So as a result, we'd say that this is not a function, just a relation.